What is going on, guys? It is Dibs, Mr. Crockpot on Twitter. Welcome to part one of a 5-part series breaking down the top 100 players in the 2023 NFL Draft. Guys, if you love the draft and you want more NFL Draft content, please consider subscribing. Let's go. Alright guys, we are looking at players 1 through 20 in the NFL Draft. Let's look at the first 5. Leading off, number 1, Jalen Carter. Number 2, edge rusher Will Anderson. Number 3, Bryce Young, quarterback out of Alabama. Then we get to number 4, that is Myles Murphy, and quarterback CJ Stroud at number 5. Let's talk about Jalen Carter, number 1. Jalen Carter has rare athleticism for his size, with tremendous strength, explosiveness, and versatility. He can consistently get to the quarterback and shows an array of pass rush moves. He's got a lightning quick first step and super strong hands. He's registered 47 quarterback pressures and 6 sacks over the past 2 seasons. He's also extremely versatile and can play all along the defensive line. That ability to play all 3 down to the next level makes him a surefire top 5 pick. Let's talk about number 2, Will Anderson, edge rusher. It's simply unfair how good Will Anderson Jr. is at football. Not only is he gifted with insane quickness, phenomenal flexibility, and stellar speed, but he has a diverse arsenal of hand techniques that maximizes his athletic tools. Will Anderson has Von Miller type of upside. He's a twitch athlete that can change directions at the drop of a hat. He has a terrific blend of raw strength and bend. His explosiveness, strength, and finishing ability at his weight makes him the unicorn-like defender in this class. I've got a top 5 grade on Will Anderson. Let's go to number 3, and that is Bryce Young, quarterback out of Alabama. Inside the pocket, outside the pocket, Bryce Young checks off a ton of boxes with his arm and legs. His ability to create in both of those areas is as elite as it gets. First and foremost, this is a big-time playmaker. Young has that creative mindset that we're seeing take over the NFL at quarterback. He's good in structure, but when he's out of structure, Bryce Young is even better. He's an elite downfield threat. He had a PFF deep passing grade of 95, which was a higher mark compared to his short and intermediate throws. This is a guy who plays with elite poise and processing ability. He can also make defenders miss and hit guys in stride on all 3 levels. I've got a top 10 grade on Bryce Young. Number 4, edge rusher Myles Murphy. Let's talk about the Trey Walker of the 2022 NFL Draft. 6'5", 275 pounds, crazy long arms and elite speed. He's also got a lot of production. He led Clemson in tackles for loss and sacks. This is a toolsy prospect who brings good athleticism and major bursts off the line. Murphy does most of his winning with raw strength and power. He's got near elite acceleration capacity for his size. If he can improve his handwork and not be overly reliant on a bull rush, the sky is the limit. I expect Murphy to put up crazy numbers at next week's combine, and this is the guy to watch out for. Coming in number 5 is CJ Stroud, quarterback out of Ohio State. His accuracy and processing are elite. 33.6% of his attempts past the line of scrimmage were deemed perfectly placed per PFF, the highest rate in the draft class. In fact, his 26.7 rate of perfectly placed passes led all FBS quarterbacks since 2021. Inside the pocket is where CJ Stroud wins. He's accurate to every level of the football field with incredible touch and does an excellent job layering balls over the middle of the field. He's got some question marks when it comes to improvising outside of the pocket, but I've got a top 10 grade on CJ Stroud. Let's look at numbers 6 through 10. Leading off, Tyree Wilson out of Texas Tech at number 6. Devin Witherspoon, number 7, cornerback out of Illinois. We got a couple of offensive linemen here, starting off with number 8, Peter Skoronski, number 9, Paris Johnson out of Ohio State, and then Will Levis, quarterback out of Kentucky. Let's go back to Tyree Wilson, 6'6", 270 pounds. Tyree Wilson is big, long, and strong. He is more powerful than crafty, flashing violence in his reach and hands and his improved secondary moves. He's got long-standing acceleration and ranked number 2 in college football last year with 41 quarterback pressures. Power and aggression are the 2 traits Tyree Wilson builds his game around. This guy is absolutely sensational when it comes to stopping the run. He's got to develop more when it comes to rushing the passer, but when it comes to skill set, this guy has it all. I've got a top 15 grade on Tyree Wilson. Let's talk about number 7, Devon Witherspoon, cornerback. Several cornerbacks have effectively used the 2022 campaign to ascend the ranks in the 2023 NFL Draft, but very few have done more to raise their stock than Illinois' Devon Witherspoon. This is a big-time riser that's one of the best cover corners in the class. At 6 feet, 180 pounds, he's not just sticking coverage, he's also a ball hawk with 13 passes defended. In man coverage this season, Witherspoon only allowed 7 catches and 0 touchdowns per PFF. Quarterbacks have posted a 27.3 passer rating when targeting receivers covered by Witherspoon. When it comes to stopping the run, this guy's closing speed is elite as it gets. Right now, I've got a top 15 grade on Devon Witherspoon. Let's move on to number 8, Peter Skoronski, interior offensive lineman. This is a prospect whose size profile will surely be a source of polarization over the next few months. Skoronski's ability to stay leveraged against defenders is elite. His smooth footwork enables him to always have a steady platform, which allows him to thrive at any spot across the offensive line. This is one of the best plug-and-play prospects in the 2023 class. This past season, he allowed all of 6 pressures across 474 pass blocking snaps. His feet, balance, and hand usage are all straight up tremendous. Physically, Skoronski has limited length and plate strength that all needs to improve at the next level, but I've got a top 15 grade on Peter Skoronski. Let's move on to number 9, and that is Paris Johnson Jr., offensive tackle out of Ohio State. Johnson started at right guard in 2021 and played really well. He made the transition to left tackle in 2022 and answered all the questions and then some. This is an explosive prospect with over 35-inch arms and elite power capacity. He's incredibly flexible, alert, and tenacious in both phases. Paris Johnson has a high-end combination of size, strength, and athleticism reminiscent of the elites at the next level. He was a 5-star prospect coming out of high school and started all 12 games at left tackle for the Buckeyes in 2022. Negative-wise, his hands are often late to the punch, but make no mistake about it, this is the premier tackle in the class. Let's move on to number 10, and that is Mr. Polarizing, Will Levis, quarterback out of Kentucky. It's been a roller coaster season for Will Levis, but he's going to be one of the quarterbacks who projects better in the pros than the college game. A lot of people were disappointed by his performance in 2022, but it's important to note that his passer rating in 2022 was actually better than 2021. While I agree that his decision making on the football field makes you scratch your head at times, it's important to note that Levis was under pressure on 37.8% of his dropbacks this season, while only possessing a 3.0 turnover-worthy play rate at Kentucky. That's really, really good. First and foremost, Levis has a rocket launcher on his shoulder and has no problem delivering the ball into tight windows. His arm strength is elite, and he says he can throw the ball 80 yards, and you're an idiot if you disagree. I think this guy will crush the combine during the interview process, and I've got a top 15 grade on Will Levis. Let's look at my big board players ranked 11 through 15. That is Christian Gonzalez coming in at number 11. Number 12, we're looking at Brian Branch, safety out of Alabama. Coming in number 13 is Michael Mayer, tight end out of Notre Dame. Then number 14, Broderick Jones, the big guy, offensive tackle out of Georgia. And then we've got Joey Porter Jr., elite cornerback out of Penn State, coming in at number 15. Let's talk about Christian Gonzalez. Christian Gonzalez entered the 2022 campaign as the wild card in the 2023 NFL Draft after transferring from Colorado to Oregon. Now nearly all the way through the regular season, we can comfortably say that he's taken the next step and is now a bona fide first-round prospect in the 2023 class. The Pac-12 leader in passes defended with 8, Christian Gonzalez is long, athletic, and can run, which is a great foundation for a man coverage corner in the NFL. He's got great size at 6'2" and 201 pounds. He has some slot experience. He's a freak athletically with a 40-plus inch vertical as well as his elite speed. On tape, Gonzalez effectively uses those elite tools to constantly haunt opposing quarterbacks. Depending on who you talk to, this is a 1A, 1B top cornerback in the 2023 class. I've got a top 20 grade on Christian Gonzalez. Let's move on to number 12, and that is Brian Branch, safety out of Alabama. This is the Swiss Army knife of the 2023 safety class. Brian Branch is a prospect who is sound in nearly every facet of the game. At Alabama, he filled in admirably in the slot role and has been borderline elite when it comes to tackling. Brian Branch's versatility is his number one calling card. He's got excellent read and react ability, he can blitz the quarterback, and he can make plays on the ball. He's an immediate plug-and-play starter in the NFL who can thrive at safety or corner if needed. He's a natural cover man with a nose for the football, and he matches up well versus size and displays burst and transition quickness to play sticky coverage. Right now, I've got a top 20 grade on Brian Branch. Love this dude. Moving on to Michael Mayer, tight end out of Notre Dame. Easily one of the safest picks in the entire draft, who can dominate in the passing game and in the run game. Mayer has been the focal point of the Fighting Irish offense, notching 51 catches and 624 yards and 5 scores on the year. He's got really good size at 6'4", 265 pounds, and with that frame, his effortless receiving ability commands attention from opposing defenses. He's got elite catching instincts and hand strength, allowing him to be elite on contested catches, but he's also a great route runner with excellent awareness. His solid athleticism allows him to work from different alignments as well. He's got the burst to find separation through seams, and on top of all of that, he's a tenacious blocker in the run game. Absolutely love Michael Mayer. I've got a top 20 grade on this dude. Let's move on to number 14, Broderick Jones out of Georgia, offensive tackle. Here's one of the most toolsy prospects in the entire O-line class, who is a 5-star recruit coming out of high school. His 6'4", 315-pound frame sports a unique combination of natural leverage and proportional length. On top of that, Jones is explosive in space, strong at the point, and a relentless finisher. He allowed just 16 total pressures on 594 pass blocking snaps at Georgia. Weakness-wise, he can still develop with his pass protection. He struggles to regain leverage off blocks and react to defenders on the move. The rest is there, though, to be a quality starter at the next level. I've got a top 20 grade on Broderick Jones. Let's move on to number 15, and that is Joey Porter Jr. The dude coming out of Penn State has all the length and athleticism you want for an outside cornerback. This is a guy who has improved every year as a playmaker, and he's one of the longest corners in his class at 6'2" and 192 pounds. His elite length allows him to blanket receivers and effortlessly obstruct passing lanes, but he also has the disciplined technique and smooth fluidity to match and carry off the line. A physical pressman corner, Joey Porter Jr. has the movement skills and length to jam wide receivers down the football field. However, he's just not a press corner. His cover skills are phenomenal. He had a passer rating against of 59.1 in 2022. Absolutely love Joey Porter Jr. Let's look at my next 5 prospects. My number 16 on my big board is Bijan Robinson, running back out of Texas. Next up, John Michael Schmitz, interior offensive lineman out of Minnesota, followed by Jackson Smith-Njigba, wide receiver out of Ohio State. Coming in at number 19, we're talking about Lucas Van Ness, edge rusher out of Iowa. And last but not least, coming in number 20, Brian Brzee, interior defensive lineman out of Clemson. Let's talk about my number 16 prospect, that is Bijan Robinson. This is a versatile weapon who can beat you on every level. He has the speed to outrun someone, the agility to get around them, and the power to run through their chest and their soul. Bijan Robinson is a very good receiver out of the backfield. He has a career average of 6.3 yards per carry, with 4.5 coming after contact. Robinson will be a game changer as a runner and as a passer, with his hands being some of the best in the entire class. He holds up well as a blocker, which makes him a franchise running back from day one. The only true downside for Bijan Robinson as a prospect is his lack of elite top-end speed, but it's really good. It will be interesting to see the number he posts in the 40-yard dash at next week's Combine, but if he tests well, he could be a top 10 pick. Right now, though, I've got a top 20 grade on Bijan Robinson. Let's talk about number 17, John Michael Schmitz, interior offensive lineman. John Michael Schmitz was one of the most consistent players at the Senior Bowl. He did everything you could do to raise your stock as an interior lineman. He was a class above the rest, and his ability to anchor down in 1v1s and move in space was notably better than any other offensive lineman during the Senior Bowl. He's strong, he's powerful, he's tough, he's also extremely versatile, showing he can play all 3 spots on the interior, which he showed during the Senior Bowl practices. Right now, I've got a top 20 grade on John Michael Schmitz. Love this dude. Let's move on to number 18, and that is Jaxon Smith-Njigba, wide receiver out of Ohio State. JSN could have simply opted out in 2022 after his dominant 2021 campaign. There will be questions about his athletic ceiling as well as his ability to win against press and work the boundary. However, he's an extremely nuanced separator with a high level understanding of space, and his catching instincts are very, very good. He has a knack for finding open holes in coverage, and he's a solid route runner. Head and shoulder fakes come naturally to him, and he's extremely good at tracking the ball in the air. While his size and speed aren't plus attributes, Smith-Njigba gets to top speed quickly with fluid hips. How JSN shows he can dominate press coverage at the upcoming combine will be huge for his draft stock, but this is my wide receiver 1 as we currently stand. I've got a top 20 grade on Jaxon Smith-Njigba. Let's move on to number 19, and that is Lucas Van Ness, edge rusher out of Iowa. The 6'5", 275-pound redshirt sophomore is nicknamed Hercules, and his feats of strength are impressive. 2022 highlights of Lucas Van Ness show him overwhelming two of the nation's top offensive linemen in Peter Skoronski and Paris Johnson Jr. He attacks off the edge like a grizzly bear, using his initial quickness, body flexibility, and powerful hands to beat blocks both inside and out. He's flexible enough to bend the edge, and he's at his best when Van Ness can use his quickness and really good change of direction abilities to counter back inside. His spin move is already NFL caliber, and he displays an extremely high motor. As a pass rusher, he shows quickness off the line and has fluid athleticism and flexibility to bend the edge. Lucas Van Ness combines excellent power with initial quickness, and right now I've got a top 20 grade on this dude. Last but not least, let's talk about Bryan Bresee, interior defensive lineman, coming in at number 20. Even though the numbers don't pop off the page, Bresee's disruptive talent is evident every time he takes the field. Bresee's got amazing physical attributes with elite power and agility for his size. Bresee plays with leverage and really good power in the lower body. He can consistently do his job against double teams in the run game, and I think his elite strength and balance should allow him to thrive in either a 4-3 or a 3-4. I think Bresee does a really good job of exploding into the backfield, disrupting passing lanes, and finding ball carriers. He has outstanding lateral movement skills and is quick to slip blocks with speed to cover a lot of ground in pursuit. Right now I've got a top 20 grade on Bryan Bresee. So those are my top 20 players in my 2023 NFL Draft Big Board. Do you agree or disagree with my rankings? Please be on the lookout for my next video covering players 21 through 40. That will be dropping in the near future. Guys, if you love the draft, please consider subscribing. Follow me on Twitter at Mr. Crockpot. Thank you everyone for watching. Stay awesome, everyone.